you? Don't you go there. Don't you go there. What school is the man that I stole?
Tony's. You slept with them a few times.
Who? What man? You not.
The last time we saw Toni Braxton and Tamar together, things looked seriously heated.
Sometimes family arguments are just arguments. A disagreement happens, people cool down, and eventually everybody moves on. But what happens when years of hurt, money problems, relationships, old wounds, and unresolved family tension all collide at the same time? That is where the story surrounding Toni Braxton and Tamar Braxton becomes much more complicated. Because the latest conversation isn't simply about two sisters disagreeing. It involves allegations about money, relationships, old family dynamics, public accusations, and rumors that have been circulating online for years. And before we go any further, here at Stars Without Filters, we want to make one thing absolutely clear. Some of the claims surrounding this story are unverified allegations and online speculation. They should not be treated as established facts unless there is reliable evidence or a direct statement from the people involved. But that doesn't mean there isn't a story worth examining. Because when you look at what has actually been said publicly, one thing becomes difficult to ignore. The relationship between Toni and Tamar has always been much more complicated than what fans see on the surface. And if you've ever experienced family conflict yourself, you already know how painful that can be. You can love someone deeply and still feel hurt by them. You can support somebody for years and eventually feel exhausted. And sometimes the people who know exactly where your emotional wounds are the same people who can hurt you the most. So today, on Stars Without Filters, we're separating the documented moments from the rumors and taking a closer look at why the Braxton family drama continues to capture so much attention. Because there is much more underneath this story than one heated confrontation. The latest wave of attention began after footage surfaced showing the Braxton sisters in an extremely tense confrontation. The atmosphere looked uncomfortable. Tamar and Toni appeared to be going back and forth, and viewers immediately began wondering what could have caused things to become so heated. For fans who have followed the Braxton family for years, this wasn't completely shocking. The sisters have never pretended that their relationships were perfect. Their reality television appearances exposed disagreements about careers, relationships, loyalty, money, and family responsibilities. But seeing Toni, someone many viewers associate with a much more reserved and composed personality, visibly frustrated, made people pay attention. Suddenly, old clips started resurfacing. Old interviews were being analyzed. Old arguments were being brought back into the conversation. And social media began doing what social media does best: connecting dots that may or may not actually belong together. That's when the story became much bigger. Online reports have circulated claims that Toni has allegedly viewed Tamar as being at the center of some of the family's long-standing problems. At the same time, other reports have attempted to connect Tamar to allegations involving Toni's relationship with Birdman. But this is where we need to slow down. Some of those claims involve deeply personal allegations, including unverified rumors about relationships and cosmetic procedures. There is no solid public evidence confirming every detail of those stories. So we're not going to present internet gossip as fact. What we can say is that these rumors have become part of the online narrative surrounding the sisters. And once a family already has a history of public disagreements, rumors like these can become extremely difficult to separate from reality. One old comment becomes another headline. One vague statement becomes a theory. And before long, people are treating speculation as though they were standing in the room when the argument happened. That is exactly why context matters. And this is where the story gets even more complicated. Toni and Birdman have had an on-again, off-again relationship for years. For a long time, fans weren't even completely sure what their legal relationship status was. Then reports surfaced involving court documents that allegedly connected Toni Braxton and Birdman to a marriage. According to those reports, the marriage allegedly took place on August 8th, while the couple reportedly separated only 2 days later, on August 10th. A divorce petition was reportedly filed afterward, describing the marriage as irretrievably broken. But then came another twist. Reports indicate that Toni later dismissed the divorce petition in January 2025, with Birdman reportedly agreeing to the dismissal. Naturally, that created even more questions. What exactly happened between those 2 days? Why did the divorce process begin? Why was the petition later dismissed? And where did the relationship actually stand? Those are legitimate questions. But the internet quickly went far beyond those questions. People began inventing explanations involving money and other private circumstances. And again, there is no solid evidence proving every theory that has circulated online. So those theories belong in the rumor category, not the fact category. But here's where the story takes a very different turn. Because Toni Braxton's financial history is not simply an internet rumor. She has publicly discussed serious financial challenges throughout her career. And according to the transcript we're examining, reports have described federal and state tax liens involving Toni, including amounts approaching hundreds of thousands of dollars. The important point here is that financial difficulty does not automatically mean financial irresponsibility. That distinction matters. Toni has explained that her financial problems were connected to complicated circumstances surrounding her career, contracts, expenses, and family responsibilities. And her story becomes particularly complicated when you remember just how successful her music career became. According to the source material, Toni's recordings generated more than $170 million in sales for her label, while she has discussed receiving an extremely small amount per album under her recording agreement. Imagine that. From the outside, millions of dollars are moving through the business. The artist becomes internationally famous. The records are successful. The tours are successful. The public assumes the star must be incredibly wealthy. But behind the scenes, the artist may be carrying expenses that fans never see. Clothing, travel, studio costs, music videos, staff, production, taxes, management, and countless other expenses. Toni has previously described receiving very little in royalties while still carrying substantial career-related costs. That history eventually contributed to bankruptcy filings. So when people look at financial headlines and immediately say, "She must have been careless," they're ignoring a much bigger picture. And this is where Tamar enters the conversation again. According to the source material, Tamar has spoken publicly about earning significant monthly income through touring, television, appearances, and investments. She has also described intentionally living below her means. Her reported mortgage payment is around $2,500 a month, and she has explained that saving and investing are important to her because entertainment can be unpredictable. That philosophy makes sense from a financial planning perspective. The entertainment industry can provide enormous income during successful periods, but it can also change quickly. One year you're booked everywhere. The next year opportunities slow down. And if your lifestyle has expanded along with your income, that can become a serious problem. Tamar appears to understand that risk. She has also reportedly upgraded to a new Maybach while continuing to discuss saving and investing. So some fans began comparing the sisters' financial approaches. And naturally, that led to speculation that Tamar's comments might have been indirect criticism of Toni. But here's the problem. We don't know that. There is no confirmation that Tamar was specifically talking about Toni. It is entirely possible that Tamar was simply describing her own financial philosophy. And that's an important distinction. There's also another part of Tamar's financial story that deserves attention. According to the source material, Tamar recently donated $40,000 to Baltimore public schools. Her stated reasoning was centered around investing in young people and future generations. And regardless of what fans think about the family drama, that action tells us something important. Money isn't simply about what somebody owns. It's also about what somebody chooses to do with it. Tamar has talked about protecting her future financially while also using some of her resources to support young people. That doesn't prove she's right about anything involving her sisters, but it does provide additional context when people discuss her attitude toward money. This is where we have to be fair. Fans have also defended Toni. Some argue that judging her purely by bankruptcy filings and tax headlines ignores the enormous financial pressure she carried throughout her career. Toni has discussed taking on responsibilities for family members, and the source material includes discussion of her becoming a kind of surrogate parent during a difficult period when her mother experienced a serious accident. She was reportedly around 13 or 14 at the time. That's a lot of responsibility for a young person. Imagine being a teenager and suddenly feeling like you have to help hold your family together. That kind of experience can stay with someone for decades. It can shape how they approach money. It can shape how they approach responsibility. And it can even shape how they respond when they feel unappreciated. So when people discuss the Braxton sisters, we shouldn't reduce everything to Toni is right or Tamar is right. Families are rarely that simple. And then there's the part of the story that has become a major subject of online discussion. Toni Braxton. Some commentators have argued that Tracy was historically treated as the family's scapegoat. They point to old footage and disagreements in which the sisters appeared to gang up on her. Now, after Tracy's passing, some commentators are asking whether the family dynamic has changed. One theory circulating online is that when a family has a designated person who absorbs much of the conflict, removing that person from the dynamic can force everybody else to confront unresolved problems among themselves. But we need to be careful here. Calling an entire family narcissistic or diagnosing individual family members based on television footage is not something we can responsibly establish. A reality show gives viewers edited moments. It does not give viewers a complete psychological assessment of an entire family. Still, the broader question is interesting. What happens when the person who previously absorbed much of the family tension is no longer there? Does the conflict disappear, or does it simply move somewhere else? That is a question only the family can truly answer. And then there are the relationship allegations. Reports have previously attempted to connect Tamar to one of Toni's former partners, with Birdman's name eventually becoming part of the online speculation. Tamar has denied allegations suggesting anything inappropriate happened between her and Birdman. That denial matters, because when allegations involve someone's reputation and personal relationships, repeating them as fact can create an entirely different kind of harm. The internet often remembers the accusation but forgets the denial. It remembers the headline but forgets the context. That's why Stars Without Filters is not going to turn unverified gossip into certainty. But the existence of those rumors does help explain why fans continue watching the relationship between these sisters so closely. There is history, there are old wounds, and there are years of public footage that people can revisit whenever a new disagreement happens. Another statement attributed to Toni has also continued circulating. She was reportedly quoted as saying that Tamar sometimes seemed to love being infamous more than famous, and that this disappointed her. Whether that statement accurately reflects their relationship today is unclear. But if Toni did feel that way, it would reveal something deeper than a simple argument. It would suggest that the sisters may have very different ideas about fame itself. Toni has often maintained a more controlled public image. Tamar, meanwhile, has historically been much more outspoken. When Tamar feels misunderstood, she tends to speak. When Toni wants privacy, she may choose silence. And those two approaches can collide. One sister says more, the other says less. Fans fill in the silence. And suddenly, the internet creates a story of its own. That's why the latest confrontation shouldn't necessarily be viewed as an isolated incident. It may be the latest expression of years of unresolved tension. Career comparisons, money, family responsibility, relationships, personal boundaries, different personalities, different communication styles. All of those things can build up over time. And when people have history together, even a small disagreement can trigger memories from 10, 15, or 20 years ago. That's what makes family conflict so painful. You're not arguing only about what happened today. You're arguing about everything you believe happened before today. And sometimes one sentence can reopen an entire chapter. There is one thing viewers should keep in mind as the story continues to develop. We don't actually know everything happening inside the Braxton family. We see interviews. We see television clips. We see social media posts. We see headlines. We hear allegations. But we don't live inside their homes. We don't hear every private conversation. And we don't know what each sister has experienced emotionally behind closed doors. So maybe the real story isn't about choosing sides. Maybe it's about recognizing that two sisters can genuinely love each other while still having serious disagreements. They can hurt each other. They can defend each other. They can stop speaking. And they can eventually reconcile. Human relationships are complicated. Family relationships can be even more complicated. So where does that leave Toni and Tamar? Right now, there are clearly plenty of questions. There are documented financial issues that have been publicly discussed. There are public disagreements that fans have witnessed. There are relationship questions surrounding Toni and Birdman. There are years of Braxton family history. And then there is a mountain of internet speculation sitting on top of all of it. The challenge is knowing which is which. Because one thing is certain, a rumor repeated 1,000 times does not automatically become the truth. And if Toni and Tamar really are dealing with serious issues behind the scenes, hopefully they can eventually address them away from the pressure of millions of people watching. Because beneath the celebrity names, the headlines, the money, and the television cameras, these are still human beings dealing with family. And family wounds can run deeper than any headline. So if you're watching this and you've ever had a complicated relationship with someone you love, remember something. You don't have to hate somebody just because you need boundaries. You don't have to pretend everything is perfect just because you're family. And sometimes protecting your peace means stepping back long enough to understand what actually happened. As for Toni and Tamar, only they know what is really happening behind closed doors. The rest of us can only separate what has been documented from what is being rumored. And that's exactly what we'll continue doing here on Stars Without Filters. So what do you think? Do you believe the tension between Toni and Tamar is simply another family disagreement that will eventually pass? Or do you think years of unresolved issues have finally reached a breaking point? And do you think the money conversation is actually about finances? Or is money simply exposing deeper problems that have been there for years? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you want celebrity stories without the unnecessary filter, make sure you like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for Stars Without Filters. Because around here, we don't just chase the headline. We look at what is underneath it.